through and what kind of things really motivates them and drive, because these are the things you're going to need to focus on, and they're going to be the things that you're going to choose the wording with when you're writing your sales copy. It needs to paint an image. Again, you see this, some of these things we're going over and over again. It's very important that you add this into your sales copy, is that when they're going through it, you have got to paint an image, and that's what your benefits are going to help do. What might your prospects' objections be? This is something that's really important, because as somebody's reading your sales copy and thinking about the product, they're maybe considering buying, but there's going to be objections that they have that come up in their mind. They're going to be things like, I wonder if this is newbie friendly, or different things. It's like, I wonder if this is going to cause have a lot of technical aspects to this. Do I need a website? Do I need this? They're going to have objections that they're going to be going over in their mind, and you need to know what those objections are, so basically you can outline them and answer them in your sales copy. So basically you're showing them, it's like, you probably are thinking this, well, let me clear this up for you. Basically what you need to do to overcome objection is walk a mile in the shoe of your prospective buyers. This way you will know what reservations or objections he or she may have. I did this recently, and one of the reasons I did this was because I was getting some complaints on a particular person's product that I was selling. They were saying, the product's always good, but there's some things about it that, about the coaching and things that are going on that really are not that great. Well, and, so the next time that I promoted for that person, they were like, well, what about this? And I really didn't know the answer to that question. So what I did is I decided I was going to go through the program with these students. So I basically bought the program just like they would. I showed up to the webinars and started going through the training to find out exactly what they were going to be going through. And I found out that exactly what their objections were true to be. And, so I was able to, make a decision. If you walk a mile in your prospective buyers, you're going to be able to answer the objections. If you know exactly what they're going to get and what they should expect, you're going to be able to convey that in your sales copy. You're going to be able to answer the questions that they have that might prevent them from buying. They're going to have some reservations. You've got to know what they are and overcome them. Knowing your market and researching the objections. One of the things you can do is, if you go into some of the forums that are in your niche, you'll see a lot of people that are asking questions about different products. They're asking questions, and a lot of these questions are going to be objections that they're trying to get answers for before they're going to buy. That helps you to understand what your target marketing is thinking, what they're going through, what kind of doubts they might have, and what kind of things that you need to overcome when they're going through your own products and sales copy. Once you know the objectives, start answering common questions that they might have in their minds and address them. Don't just leave them open. Don't just let them continue on, because if they still have that objection at the end, they're probably not going to trust enough to buy. Think of questions you might ask before purchasing. So if you've purchased related products, that something like you are trying to sell at this time, think of questions that you might have. Think of questions that you had when you were new, when you were just starting out buying products and stuff. Those are the kind of questions that your target market is probably asking themselves, and you need to know what they are. Pointing out negatives in products and turn them into positives. So maybe a negative that you might see, or your target audience would see, is that, wow, this course is going to be very technical, and I'm not a technical person. So you can point that out to them. Say, you know what, you're probably thinking that there's going to be a lot of technical things that you're going to need to know, and that is true. But let me tell you right now that I have that taken care of. I have supplied this amazing course as a bonus or whatever that is going to help you overcome the technical, or I'm going to show you some great places that you can outsource this to very, very cheaply, that you can make sure that you can get this done. So basically you're helping them overcome that fear that they're not going to be able to do what you're asking them to do. Objection example is your product really for beginners? And because that's a big one. A lot of people go, is this for somebody new, or is this going to be somebody that's more advanced, and those are kind of questions that are going through their mind. Make sure that you address them. Come right on and say, a lot of people, and probably yourself, is wondering if this is new. If you're a beginner, I just want to tell you right now that I have done my very best to develop this product to be able to, for anybody to use, including the beginner, and then lay it out on the line of why it's going to be easy for beginners. Why should your prospect act now? This is something that's really important. If you're going to ask them to take action, you want them to do it now, not come back, because chances are they're not coming back. The end question you must reply for your prospect is why they need to act right now without any hesitation. Urgency or motive for desired action must be authentic. Example, give them a special price if they act within the next few days. So basically, if they get that product in the next few days, or right now, they're going to be able to get it at a discount. Tell them that quantities are restricted, and once the stock is exhausted, they won't be sold at the same price. Now, if you're going to tell them the price is going up, in the next few days, maybe you give them a 24 hours to act. If they come back to that, they decide to test it. If they come back to that 24 hours later, that price needs to be raised. This is a huge thing, and when people start believing what you're saying, they're going to start taking action. It's like one-time offers. When you can go back to a one-time offer anytime that you want, it's no longer a one-time offer, and people don't believe it the next time you tell them that they're not going to be able to come back. Tell them quantities are restricted. If they're restricted to so many sales, make sure that when you get to that number of sales, you shut it down, because the next time they're going to understand, and he said this was going to be limited. I come back and it was gone. I better get it now. Or if it's going to be raised at the price after a certain amount, once you hit that certain amount, raise the price. Make sure that your created urgency is credible. There's nothing worse than creating urgency that people find out that it's really not all that credible, like we were just talking about. Make sure that you follow through and that they learn to trust exactly what you're saying. All right, we're going to talk about some sales page tips and increase your conversions with a good-looking, clean, and consistent format. That is very important. You need to be professional looking when you have your sales page. I just recently seen a sales page that somebody wanted me to look at. It went from one side of the screen to the other, and it was just a mess. And that is, in my mind right away, I knew that person was new, and I knew that they were never going to make a sale when somebody showed up to that sales page. Always use a reader-friendly font. A lot of people try to use creative fonts and stuff, and that's just not something you're going to want to do. There's fonts that work. Stick to them. Don't try to be fancy. Your job is to get it to convert. For your visitor to want to read your sales page or your sales letter, you not only need to have a good headline and a high quality content, but the content must be presented in a way that is easy to read. Use easy to read fonts that are font size of 12 to 14. A lot of times, what size should the font be? Your normal font should be 12 to 14. If you got a younger crowd, 12 font size will work, and maybe even a 10. But you better know that it's a younger crowd. An older crowd is going to require a 14 font size to help them with readability. If they can't read it, they're not sticking around. That's where it comes from, researching and knowing who your audience is. We're going to quickly go over some types of fonts that you can test out, just so you know what they are. There's serif and serif fonts have small lines at the end on some characters such as Times New Roman and Georgian. As you can see, they're going to have little lines at the on each one of the things. That is serif and serif fonts. You're going to have sans serif. Sans means without. These fonts do not have the lines at the end of the characters, such as Arial and Verdina. As you can see, the lines are missing. They're a little bit cleaner, maybe, looking. Monospace. All monospace characters have the same width, such as Courier, New, and Lucida Console. Those guys, they're all going to have the space is going to be the same width in the characters. Good fonts for sales page body text are Arial, Verdina, Tahoma, and Time New Roman. One of the things that you need to be careful of, I've seen a sales page that was all in an impact font. and it was very hard to read. And impact is one of those things that basically makes people feel like you're shouting at them. It's like using all capital letters.